This time, this is part 2 of how to plant and grow potatoes in your own yard, in your own space. So if you haven't seen part 1, click the link below in the notes, and it will take you to part 1. Part 1 of the video, we talked about how to transform this one seed potato into multiple pieces of a seed potato, or how to turn one seed potato into 2, 3, and sometimes 4 seed potatoes. Okay, so like I said, this is part 2. We're going to continue from the last one. So now, after we have cut our potato, okay, and we make sure we have enough eyes on it, you wait to let this part that we cut, you wait to let the flesh heal. It forms a sort of callus or scab over the top. Okay, it's not wet. Like if I were to just cut this seed potato right now, it would still be moist on the inside. So we allow it to dry, and now these seed potatoes are ready to be planted. Okay, if you haven't noticed, most things on my channel are geared towards urban agriculture or growing in a small space. So with that in mind, today we are not going to be planting these potatoes in a raised bed or in the ground. Instead, we're going to be using pots. All right, and for this video, or for this experiment, if you want to call it, we will be using a regular old 5-gallon nursery pot. We will be using a grassroots living soil 10-gallon pot. These are dope. You can click the link below the video and it will take you to their website where you can learn more about these pots. And we'll be also planting them in these 15-gallon pots, plastic nursery pot. Okay? All right, so to get started, you need to learn, or you need to know a couple things about potatoes. If you want to read an article or blog post that I've written on potatoes, you can click the link below and it will take you there. But here's potatoes in a gist, okay, or a little short synopsis or whatever about potatoes. We take this, we drop it in some dirt, and the new potatoes actually grow above our old potatoes. Okay, so with that being said, you're going to need to practice a process known as hilling. And hilling is where once this eye actually sprouts and you have leaves that come up above your soil level, you're just going to dump more soil or mulch or hay or straw or leaves, whatever it is you have, you're just going to put it on top. And then the leaves will continue to grow and push through. And every time you see the leaves, we just hill and put more mulch soil material on top. All right. So with that being said, this is how we're going to get started. Potatoes, if we were to plant these in the ground, we would be looking at about 12-inch spacing between each seed potato that we plant. So with this 5-gallon pot right here, I am going to be planting around, I'll probably put 3. All right. Now, remember, this box that we cut, I don't know, this might have been 7, 8, 9, 10 potatoes that is easily turned into multiple, I don't know, 30 plus pieces. So to get started, we're going to pick our seed potato pieces that have at least 2 eyes. Okay, you can see all these eyes. After they have been cut and allowed to sit out for a while, they start to sprout. So every piece that we plant, we want to make sure it has at least 2 eyes. Cool. So now take my pot that I have, and you're going to want to plant these in about 3 to 5 inches of soil to get started. Potatoes like nutrient-rich soil. So what I'm going to do is mix some compost with some potting soil. Okay, so I'm just going to get started and start by adding a nice layer of potting soil to the bottom. Drop the potting soil in. Now I'm going to take my seed potato pieces and I'm going to put them directly in the soil. Now, if you had a whole, if you're planting an entire seed potato like this, I would just drop one in the middle. Okay, and remember why we prep our potatoes prior to planting. If we were to cut this potato and plant it right now, this inside is still moist. Think about a potato in your kitchen when you cut it before you cook it. That inside's a little slimy and moist, all right? If I were to plant that piece without allowing it to dry and form this coating over the top, this seed potato or this freshly planted potato or freshly cut potato runs the chance of rotting while in our soil. Okay, so back to this. Remember, take my seed potatoes, drop them in, and now I'm just going to come back with a nice layer of compost on top. And I'm going to repeat this process for the 10-gallon Grassroots fabric pot. This is their living soil edition, and for the same 15-gallon pot. But I will be putting more seed potato pieces in the 10-gallon and the 15-gallon pot. So this will show you the whole concept of how you can grow potatoes in containers, but what it will also do is show you the different yields you can expect from a 5-gallon pot versus a 10-gallon pot versus a 15-gallon pot. Now, I prefer, if I'm growing potatoes in a pot, I prefer a 10-gallon pot over a 5-gallon pot. But for the sake of this video, we're going to do all three so that we can all learn and see. So now, don't put your snail in there. So now, after I have the seed potatoes at a level that I'm comfortable with, I'm going to now come back and drop a layer of compost on top. If you didn't have compost, you could easily just drop more potting soil on top. But I happen to have compost, and you can't have too much compost, or you can't give a plant too much compost, I should say. So here we go. I'm covering these potatoes. Covering the seed potatoes with a nice layer of compost. Okay. Now, remember, we are not filling this pot all the way to the top, digging a hole and dropping our potatoes in like we would do with a lot of seeds. No, like I just said, potatoes grow up. So when you first plant your potatoes in the pot, you're going to have a good gap between your soil level and the top of your pot. And you want that gap, okay? Because as these sprout and put leaves up, once the leaves get to about this level, I'm going to come back and I'm going to drop straw or hay or mulch on top. Now, when you look at this 5-gallon pot, you can realize, well, hey, I might not actually yield a lot of potatoes out of here. And that is why I prefer to use the 10 or the 15-gallon pot. But this is ready. This has been planted. Okay? I'll water this in and I'll just set this out. Now with potatoes, they have a dormancy period, right? Where after you plant it, it could sit and look as if it's not doing anything for around 2 weeks. Just give it time. Don't overwater it. Make sure your container has drainage holes in it. And yeah, just set it out and let it do its thing. If after 2 weeks you still don't see any growth, more than likely your seed potatoes have rotted. All right, let's get to the 10-gallon and the 15-gallon pot. Like I said, this is a 10-gallon Grassroots fabric pot, American-made company out of Sacramento. I really rock with these pots right here, man. You see this layer, this lining right here? This is so the edge of your pots don't dry out. I don't know if you've seen or used other fabric pots, but you'll notice that there is no lining. So the edges around the soil tend to die out. But the concept behind this is a living soil bag. So this bag right here, or this lining right here, is to help ensure that the soil, whether I'm planting in it or not, is alive. It will stay alive. In the 10-gallon pot, remember, we're checking all of our pieces to make sure we have at least 2 eyes. This one has more. I'm happy. So again, we're gonna see about how many pieces. Now what is this? I'm going maybe 6 to 8 inches between these pieces. You want to do more, do more. You want to do less, do less. This is you. This is your choice. Okay. So what I'm gonna actually do is plant these 7 pieces in, was that 7 or is that 6? 4, 5, 7, yeah. So I'm gonna plant these 7 pieces in a pattern, something like this, all right? It doesn't have to be exact. We're gonna follow the same steps as before. A couple inches of high quality potting soil, drop our seed potatoes, and cover it with a nice layer of compost. It's my first time to actually use one of these living soil pots, so I'm pretty stoked to check them out. All right, so a nice layer of potting soil. You can already see with the 10-gallon pot, just that increased depth amount will allow us to heal this potato plant, or to heal this pot more times than we will be with the 5-gallon pot. All right, so same way as before, my base layer with the potting soil, and now I'm coming in and I'm dropping my seed potatoes down. I'm gonna push them down just a little bit. Okay, I'm just gonna go with the 6 instead of the 7. Okay, so now remember, every piece you check in to make sure it has 2 eyes. More, so and drop it in. All right, if we can slightly cover it with the potting soil, and then now nice layer of compost on top. So 15-gallon pot, ample drain holes. So I'm assuming if we did 3 in the 5-gallon, we did 3 seed starts or 3 seed pieces in the 5-gallon, we got 6 seed pieces in the 10-gallon. I mean, so what does that mean? I should get 9 in here. Let's lay them out. Oh, while we're looking here, if you cut some pieces and you see that they start to mildew or rot, you don't have to plant this piece. So, all right, here we go. We're gonna see if we get the 9 pieces in here. Still checking for the multiple eyes. So it looks like I'm just gonna get about 8 in here. All right. We're gonna pot these, plant these the same way as the other ones. Start, layer of potting soil. Going to arrange my seed pieces. And again, you don't have to cut these seed pieces if you don't want to. If you just want to plant this whole potato, you could take this 15-gallon pot, boom, and maybe drop 2 potatoes in here, or even just 1 seed potato down in the middle and see what it does. But me, I cut them into smaller pieces so that I'm able to turn this one seed potato into multiple seeds. 3, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8 pieces in here. A little bit closer than I would normally like them, but it'll be all right. Push them down a little bit, and then compost on top. All 3 of the pots have been planted. Before I water them, I'll put a light layer of mulch. I'm gonna use some hay that I have around back in this bigger pot, and then I'm gonna use some leaves for the smaller pots. Hopefully you found this informative. If you did, like or subscribe, follow the channel, head over to IG, Big City Gardener, or you can go to bigcitygardener.com and check out all the blog posts that we have, man. Now that's enough YouTube time. Go out there, get your hands in some dirt, and just grow it. You know the motto. Have a great day.